64K. Where the future is so bright you gotta wear shades.
Welcome to the first episode of Player One Memories, a nostalgic look back at the era of classic arcade gaming. So let's jump back to 1990, which was a global melting pot pop culture wise. We had classic movies like The Hunt for Red October with Sean Connery slurring his way through another classic movie.
A little revolution now and then is a healthy thing, don't you think?
Goodfellas with its instantly quotable dialogue.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Ass Ass Baby was a #1 song by Vanilla Ice, which made you feel like the apocalypse was closer than you thought. And the bearded wonder himself, Chuck Norris, became the first Westerner to be awarded a black belt grandmaster in Taekwondo. But in the arcades, it felt like the second wave was flooding onto us, as arcades musically and graphically were advancing in leaps and bounds. It was a wonderful time to navigate those dingy, loud, claustrophobic levels of the big arcades, which brings us to today's game, Alien Storm by Sega, released in 1990. This game was released about 1 year after 1989's massive arcade hit Golden Axe, and sticks to that formula pretty closely while adding some of its own fun touches to the gameplay. Walking into any arcade back then was mesmerizing, with each game's audio jacked up and trying to grab your attention to lure you in. I first played this at a small arcade in Queensborough, South Africa, where they had about a 20 machine setup at the base of an old apartment block called Melbourne Heights, which is also incidentally where me, my brother and some friends threw a full-size mannequin off the top of that building to simulate and record the whole thing for our home video remake of Die Hard.
I just trashed one of your friends. You know what I am? I'm your worst nightmare.
Epic 1990. And back to Alien Storm, which was a side-scrolling beat-em-up, but with weapons, and it also featured side-scroller run-and-gun levels, big old boss battles, and some awesome first-person bonus stages, like something out of Sega's own Shinobi, but with just big Ghostbusters-style proton blasting action. Overall, there were 6 levels to beat up, run, and blast your way through, and being an arcade obviously meant you could play it in either 2 or even 3-player mode, selecting one of the 3 available characters, Karen, Garth, or Scooter, who all obviously had their own strengths and weaknesses. And if Golden Axe taught us anything, then having a cool screen-destroying smart bomb is always a plus. You can also gain back energy in a similar way by blasting these floating heads of certain aliens to gain energy back. It's almost like kicking those cheeky midgets in Golden Axe. Your goal in the game is to take your Alien Busters team and stop the alien invasion by taking on missions leading to massive UFOs, big old boss battles before the final encounter. It was just a well-crafted game, from the excellent cutscenes between missions, awesome sound effects and beautiful 2D animation with tons of detail. It was a cut above the rest. It was ported to a number of home systems at the time as well, including the Sega Master System and the Commodore 64 version, which I played quite a bit and enjoyed, but the Sega Mega Drive Genesis version is the one to play for sure. It's not a level-to-level clone, but adds more of its own stuff to the arcade while remixing it, and is well worth playing as a home version. This is a fun, unique game that Sega still haven't made a sequel to for whatever reason, but is a great arcade classic that is worth tracking out and giving a spin.
Game over, yeah!
And thanks for joining me, Bastish B, at 64K. If you can like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.